The rain came down in thin silver threads, sliding across the glass walls of the French restaurant like quiet secrets too shy to be spoken aloud. Manhattan moved outside in blurred shapes and streaks of color, every taxi light softened by the storm, every silhouette swallowed by the night. Inside, the warmth told a different story, golden chandeliers shimmering like captured stars, white linens glowing beneath them, crystal glasses humming with reflections of candlelight. And in the far corner, alone at a table set for two, sat Ethan Ward, 33, millionaire CEO, a man who had taught himself not to feel more than necessary. His posture was a portrait, straight spine, shoulders squared, suit molded to him like it had been designed out of obedience instead of fabric. He didn't check his watch because he was impatient. He checked it because timing was the one thing he still controlled in a life that had slipped out of shape in too many ways. He told himself he would wait exactly 20 minutes. Not 21. Not 19. He didn't believe in blind dates. He especially didn't believe in blind dates arranged by his mother. But this wasn't really about belief. It was about Grace Ward. 68, warm-spirited, quietly stubborn, and very, very sick. Her kidney failure had crept in slowly like fog at sunrise, soft at first, then suffocating. Whenever Ethan visited her, she held his hand like she was memorizing it. And even when she tried to hide it, he could see the fear in her smile. She had only asked for one thing. Meet her, Ethan. One time, if nothing comes of it, that's fine. I feel something about her. He could never refuse the tremble in her voice. So here he was, fulfilling a promise, not entertaining the idea of romance. He told himself he would be polite, professional, detached. He always was. Then at precisely 7:12 p.m., the wooden doors opened with a soft breath of cold air. A woman stepped inside. She shook raindrops from a small, worn umbrella, nothing luxurious, nothing crafted by a designer, just practical. Her dress was modest, a simple deep green fabric that touched her knees, sleeves brushing the length of her arms. No makeup disguised her features, only a quiet naturalness, a softness that didn't beg for attention yet drew the eye all the same. Her name was Lily Harper. Her hair, golden but muted, tied loosely, framed a face that wasn't flawless but honest in a way Ethan wasn't prepared for. Her eyes were gray but not cold, gray like the sky before dawn breaks. Her gaze scanned the room until it found him. And when she smiled, it wasn't dazzling but steady, like someone who wasn't here to impress anyone. Ethan's expression did not change. His polite mask never cracked. But something beneath his ribs shifted, an unfamiliar flicker. He rose from his seat, extending a hand. Miss Harper. Ethan is fine, he added quickly. She sat down across from him, folding her hands in her lap with a composure that wasn't rehearsed. The waiter arrived, poured water, vanished back into the warm glow of the dining room. Then Lily leaned forward slightly. I know this probably isn't your thing, she said softly. Blind dates, especially ones your mother pushes you into. He looked up, startled that she read him so effortlessly. To be honest, she continued with a small breath, it's not really my thing either. Ethan's brow lifted just a little. The smallest sign of curiosity. My name is Lily, she said, her voice warm but grounded. Your mother talks about you often. I feel like I already know your coffee order and the way you organize your sock drawer. Ethan blinked twice. That's mildly alarming. She laughed, not nervously, not flirtatiously, just genuinely. Don't worry, I'm not a stalker. I volunteer at the clinic sometimes. I teach elementary school during the day. He studied her, noticing the absence of pretense. No carefully curated lines, no dramatic overtures, just truth. I didn't come here to impress you, Lily said. I didn't dress up. I didn't look up your company. I have no plans to sweep you off your feet. Her voice was calm, honest, almost disarming. I came because your mother asked me to, and because I trust her judgment. That sentence, I trust her judgment, landed heavier than he expected, tightening his chest. People in Ethan's world didn't talk like that. Words always carried motives, hidden angles, strategies. But Lily spoke like someone who simply meant what she said. He glanced toward the door, habit, not desire, and then leaned back slightly. He didn't stand to leave. Another first. All right, he said quietly, then let's talk. For a moment there was only the rain outside, the music inside, the unspoken question lingering between them. Is this the beginning or the end? She smiled, lifting her water glass. So, Ethan, what is a typical day for a CEO like you? He almost smirked. Do you want the honest version, or the version people use in magazine interviews? Honest, she said immediately. That depends, he replied dryly. If the honest day starts before or after I cancel a pointless meeting, fire someone who deserved it, and delete 30 emails about decisions I already made. Lily laughed, really laughed. The sound was warm, like cinnamon on a cold morning. I knew there'd be emails, she said. There are always emails. He found himself watching her more closely, realizing she wasn't saying things for effect. She wasn't trying to get something out of him. She was simply present. And you, he asked, teaching third grade, that's brave. It depends on your definition of brave, she said with a grin. If it means mediating heated debates about whether Pluto should still count as a planet, then yes, I'm very brave. He surprised himself by laughing, quietly but genuinely. Her face softened. It can be exhausting, she admitted. But I love it. Kids are honest. They don't care about your title or your background. They just want to be heard. Her eyes flickered with something deep, something real. Some of my kids come to school hungry, she continued softly. One saves half his lunch for his baby sister. Another sleeps during math because she stays awake all night taking care of her mom. Ethan's fingers stilled on his glass. What do you do, he asked carefully, when you can't fix those things? Lily looked down at her hands, then back up. I show up, she said simply. I make sure they know they matter, and when that's not enough. She exhaled. I still show up the next day. Something in Ethan's chest tightened, an ache he hadn't felt in years. Then the waiter returned. Plates were cleared. Lily's dish barely touched. Excuse me, Lily said. May I have a to-go bag? Ethan looked at her, puzzled. She didn't explain. When the bag arrived, she stood gracefully, crossed the room to the large window, unlatched it, and slipped the food outside into the rain. Ethan followed her gaze. Across the street, huddled beneath scaffolding, was a homeless man, knees pulled to his chest, shivering beneath the cold. Lily crossed the street, crouched down, and held out the warm bag. She didn't say anything dramatic. She didn't stay for recognition. She simply offered, touched his shoulder gently, and returned. When she sat again, Ethan wasn't the same man who had walked into the restaurant. His walls weren't gone, but something cracked. He didn't check the time. He didn't shift with impatience. He stayed. For the first time in a long while, he wanted to. They left the restaurant later than Ethan expected, later than he allowed himself to want. The rain had grown colder, wind whipping through the narrow streets. Ethan raised his umbrella over them, the gesture as natural as breathing. Let me drive you home, he said. She hesitated. Not out of fear, out of independence. I was going to take the train. A gust of wind answered on her behalf, tugging at her coat and hair, spraying cold droplets against her cheeks. She sighed. Okay, just this once. In the car, silence filled the space, not awkward, not forced. Just peaceful. She didn't reach for her phone. She didn't touch her hair or adjust her dress. She simply breathed quietly, watching the rain race down the window. For a man who spent his life surrounded by noise, her presence felt like stillness. He dropped her outside an old brick building. She turned with a soft smile. "Thank you," she said, "for not leaving for tonight." Before he could reply, she disappeared inside. Ethan sat in the car for a moment, watching the door close behind her. Then he told himself, firmly, rationally, "This won't happen again. One night, that's all." But somewhere deep inside him, the truth whispered otherwise. And by morning, that whisper would become impossible to ignore. Because fate wasn't done with them, not even close. Morning found Ethan in a way he wasn't used to, quietly unsettled. Not anxious, not overwhelmed, just aware. The sunlight filtered through the blinds of his penthouse, cutting across the hardwood in pale gold bands. Normally, he would have been halfway through his first meeting, or reviewing numbers on a tablet before even brushing his teeth. But today, he lingered at the foot of his bed, fingers resting loosely against his knees, replaying fragments of last night like scenes from a film he didn't realize he'd memorized. Lily's laugh, the rain in her hair, the way her eyes softened when she spoke about her students. Nothing about her should have stayed with him. She wasn't bold or flirtatious. She didn't try to impress him. She didn't try to win. She was simply present, as if presence alone was its own language. And that unsettled him more than anything. His phone buzzed. Mom read, "Did you meet her?" He stared at the message, fighting the instinct to overthink it, then typed, "Yes, she was different." 3 dots appeared, then vanished, then appeared again. "Different is good, Ethan. Don't overthink it, just breathe." He closed his eyes. His mother always knew when he was trying too hard not to feel something. But before he could respond, another message appeared. "If you decide to see her again, I'd love to hear about it." Ethan didn't reply. Not because he didn't want to, but because the truth scared him more than he liked to admit. He was considering seeing Lily again. And that alone felt like a betrayal of all the walls he had worked years to build. Work should have distracted him. It didn't. In the boardroom, his executive team droned through quarterly projections, voices blurred into a single stale hum. Charts, numbers, projections. Normally these grounded him. Today, they barely registered. Mr. Clark, his CFO, cleared his throat. "Sir, the Hong Kong branch is asking." "Approve it," Ethan said absently. "But you haven't even." "I said approve it." The room fell silent. Not fearful, just surprised. Ethan Ward was many things, but distracted wasn't one of them. He dismissed them early and retreated to his office, staring out at Manhattan's skyline. The city glowed beneath the pale winter sun, yet he felt strangely disconnected from it, as if something in him had shifted and the world hadn't caught up yet. His reflection in the glass stared back, controlled, polished, composed. Exactly who he had taught himself to be. And yet, when he closed his eyes, he didn't see himself. He saw a woman offering food to a stranger in the rain. Across the city, Lily Harper moved through her day with the quiet steadiness of someone who found purpose in the small moments. A little girl tugged her sleeve. "Miss Harper, do we really have to do fractions today?" Lily smiled. "Only if you want to know how much pizza belongs to you when your brother tries to steal some." The class burst into laughter. Even the girl cracked a grin. Teaching had never been glamorous. The paint peeled in the corners, half the desks wobbled, the heater clanked like an irritated ghost. Her students came from homes bruised by poverty, absentee parents, unpredictable nights. But here inside the small, chaotic classroom, they were safe. Heard. Seen. During recess, she sat on a bench grading papers. A colleague, Marissa, plopped down beside her with a dramatic sigh. "You look different today," Marissa said, narrowing her eyes. "Did something happen? Did someone happen?" Lily's cheeks warmed. "It was just a blind date. With the guy your clinic friend told you about, the CEO." "Yes," Lily murmured. "And Lily looked down at her lap, fingers twisting the edge of a paper. "He surprised me, in ways I didn't expect." Marissa leaned closer. "Good surprise, or the kind that ends with you blocking his number and pretending he never existed?" Lily chuckled softly. "Good, I think, but complicated." "Complicated how?" "He's closed off, like he's holding the door shut from the inside." She exhaled. "But he also listens, really listens, and he saw me last night, not just what I was saying but who I was." Marissa tesked playfully. "Girl, you're doomed, that's how it starts." But Lily shook her head. "I don't think he wants anything from me. I don't even think he expected to like me." Her voice softened. "And I don't think he knows what to do with that." Marissa lifted a brow. "And what do you want?" Lily hesitated. "I don't know yet." Then she whispered, "But I haven't stopped thinking about him." Ethan lasted until 6 p.m. before he caved. He stood in the elevator lobby of his high-rise, the city buzzing beneath him. His phone felt heavy in his hand, as if the device knew he was about to lose some long-fought internal battle. He opened Lily's contact, stared at it, locked the screen, unlocked it again. He typed, "Are you free tonight?" 3 seconds passed, then 7, then 10. He cursed under his breath, deleted the message, typed something else. "I was in your neighborhood for a meeting, thought I'd check in." He deleted that too. "Pathetic," he muttered. Finally he typed, "Hi Lily, I enjoyed last night." He stared at the words, exhaled and hit send. He regretted it instantly. Too soft. Too honest. Too unlike him. Then his phone buzzed. "I enjoyed it too, Ethan." He swallowed. For a moment he forgot how to breathe. "I'd like to see you again," he typed before he could second-guess himself. There was a pause. Then, "When?" He blinked, stunned by how easily she said yes. How naturally she stepped into the space he created. "Tonight," he wrote. Another pause, longer this time. "I can meet you after work, 8 p.m. same restaurant." He frowned. "You didn't finish your meal." Her reply came instantly. "I don't care about the restaurant, I just want to see you." Ethan's pulse tightened. He wasn't used to that, someone wanting him, not his status, not his money, not the image he spent years perfecting. Just him. He typed, "I'll pick you up at 7:45. At 7:44 he was standing outside her building, heart beating a fraction too fast. He adjusted his collar, checked his reflection in the car window, then forced himself to stop. This wasn't him. He didn't fuss. He didn't fidget. He didn't care this much. But tonight he did. The front door opened, and she stepped out, wearing a simple navy coat and her hair pulled back into a loose ponytail. She wasn't dressed to impress. She was dressed to exist comfortably in her own skin. When their eyes met, something inside him steadied, as if her presence tuned him to the right frequency. "You're early," she teased. "You're late," he countered. She laughed gently, and that sound alone felt like stepping into warmth after a long storm. They walked toward the car, and Ethan opened the door for her. She blinked in surprise. "Chivalry," she said softly. "I didn't expect that. I didn't expect you to expect anything." She smiled and settled inside. As he rounded the hood and climbed in, the air between them hummed quietly, not tense, not hesitant, just full. full of possibility neither of them dared to name. "Where are we going?" she asked. He started the engine. "I don't know yet," he admitted, "but I'll know when we get there." It was the most honest thing he'd said all day. They drove in companionable silence, city lights washing over them in yellow, white, and neon streaks. Lily gazed out the window, hands folded in her lap, calm in a way that felt like gravity, gentle, consistent, grounding. "What are you thinking about?" she asked softly. "I don't know how to do this," he confessed before he could stop himself. "Dadding, talking, letting someone in." She looked at him, really looked. "You don't have to know," she murmured. "You just have to be here. No judgment. No pressure. Just presence." He tightened his grip on the wheel. "I'm good at a lot of things," he said quietly, "but being vulnerable isn't one of them." Lily's voice was soft but steady. "I don't need your vulnerability, Ethan." She paused. "I just need your honesty." Something in him cracked open, just slightly but noticeably. And then, without warning, he turned down a narrow street near the harbor, parking beside the quiet waterfront. The silver-blue water rippled beneath the lights, waves whispering against the pier. "Ethan," she whispered, "this is beautiful." He stepped out, she followed. The air was cold but not sharp, the smell of salt water wrapped around them. They walked along the edge of the pier, their footsteps echoing on wood. Lily's coat fluttered in the wind, hair dancing across her cheeks. "Why here?" she asked. He stared at the water. "Because it's the only place that makes sense when my head is loud." She nodded, understanding without needing explanation. "You've been alone a long time," she said. It wasn't a question. It was a truth. He froze. Then slowly, reluctantly, he nodded. "Being alone is easier," he murmured. "But not living," she whispered back. He turned toward her. Her eyes reflected the harbor lights, soft, steady, unafraid. "Why are you so calm around me?" he asked, voice low. "Most people are intimidated." She smiled faintly. "Because I see the man, not the title." He swallowed hard. "And what do you see?" "A man who's exhausted," she said gently. "A man who holds the whole world but doesn't know where to put his heart." His breath caught. Then Lily stepped closer, slowly, carefully, giving him every chance to step back. He didn't. "You don't have to give me your heart," she whispered, "but you can give me a moment." She held out her hand. Small, warm, steady. A moment passed. Then another. Ethan lowered his gaze to her hand, then lifted his own, hesitating. Touch was personal, intimate, dangerous. But Lily didn't rush him. He finally placed his hand in hers. Their fingers intertwined, softly, tentatively, but firmly enough to make his chest tighten. For Ethan, it was a small gesture. For Lily, it was acceptance. For both, it was a beginning. And neither of them knew that this fragile beginning would not stay fragile for long. Because the world had its own plans. And one unexpected phone call, one that would come in just a handful of hours, would shift everything. For better, for worse, for everything. The night after their harbor walk settled into a quiet that felt almost unreal. Ethan went to bed with Lily's hand still ghosting against his palm, that gentle warmth sinking deeper than he wanted to admit. It was the first night in years he fell asleep without the company of worry. But at 4:17 a.m., his phone buzzed violently on the nightstand. He answered half asleep. "Ethan," his mother's nurse sounded breathless. "You need to come now." His heart dropped. Cold. Sharp. Immediate. "Is she?" "She's awake, but she's not well." Ethan didn't remember throwing on clothes or grabbing his keys. Only flashes, elevator numbers blurring past, the city still asleep, the hospital hallways smelling like antiseptic and fear. His mother lay in bed, small under the thin white blanket, smaller than he had ever seen her, her lips pale, eyes dim but still warm at the sight of him. "You came," she whispered. "Of course I did." His voice broke despite trying to steady it. She reached up weakly, touching his cheek. "Don't look so scared, I'm still here." He swallowed hard. "You shouldn't have waited to call." "I didn't want to wake you." "You should have." His voice snapped more than he meant. Her hand squeezed his. "Ethan, you can face the world with your shoulders held high, but you crumble at the thought of losing someone you love." He looked away, jaw tight. "I don't want to lose you." "You won't, not yet." Her breath rasped. "But I need to know something." He leaned closer. "Did you meet Lily again?" He nodded slowly. "Yes." A small smile lifted her lips. And I don't know what's happening to me." Her fingers brushed his. "You're opening." He closed his eyes. "I'm not ready." "No one ever is." A soft silence settled between them until she spoke again, voice fragile. "Bring her to me, Ethan, when I'm stronger." He swallowed hard. "I will." Not for the promise. Not for the duty. For her. He sat by her bed for hours, watching her sleep, listening to the steady beat of machines that felt like a countdown he wasn't ready to face. The next afternoon, after 2 coffees and no real rest, Ethan found himself outside Lily's school. The bell had just rung, and the hallway echoed with laughter and stomping sneakers. When she stepped out of her classroom, surprise flickered across her face. "You came," she said softly. "I needed to see you." She read the tension in his shoulders instantly. "What's wrong?" "My mother," he whispered. "It got worse last night." Concern washed over her. "Ethan, I'm so sorry." He didn't know why, but standing in that messy hallway surrounded by backpacks and children's voices, he felt his composure fracture. She stepped closer. "Come with me." She led him into her empty classroom, closed the door and waited, not pressuring, not probing. Just presence. He finally exhaled everything he'd been holding. "She asked about you," he said. "She wants to meet you." Lily blinked. "Is she well enough?" "She said she will be soon." "And do you want me to meet her?" she asked carefully. He hesitated. "Yes," he said slowly. "I think I do." Lily nodded. No rush, no excitement, just steady acceptance. "Whenever she's ready," she whispered. The simplicity of it, the openness of it, pulled something inside him loose. "I don't know how to do this," he admitted again. "Any of it." "And you don't have to," she said. "Not alone." He looked at her, truly looked, and realized something terrifying. He had already let her into his world without noticing. They sat in her classroom for a while, the world outside moving on without them. She poured him tea from a small kettle she kept for long days. He wrapped his hands around the cup, absorbing the warmth like medicine. "Tell me what's in your head," she encouraged. "I'm afraid," he said. "Of what?" "Of wanting something I can't protect." Her eyes softened. "You don't need to protect me, Ethan." "No," he said quietly. "I need to protect you from me." She froze, confused. "The way I am, the life I live, there's not much room for softness." "Then we make room," she whispered. "You don't understand." "I do." He stopped. Her voice was calm but unwavering. "I know you've spent years building walls. I know you think breaking them makes you weaker. But Ethan, walls don't protect. They isolate." He stared at her, the words hitting too close, too deep. "You don't have to rush," she said gently, "but don't run." He looked down at their hands, hers resting near his, a quiet invitation. He took it. Their fingers intertwined again, this time without hesitation. That evening he drove her home. The city glowed in the dusk, streetlights flickering on like stars scattered out of order. When he parked outside her building, Lily unbuckled her seatbelt slowly. "Come upstairs," she said softly. "Just for tea. You look like you need somewhere quiet." Ethan hesitated, not because he didn't trust her, but because he trusted her too much. Okay. Her apartment was small, warm, lived in. Books stacked unevenly. A blanket draped over the couch. Plants by the window she probably forgot to water on weekends. Nothing expensive, everything intentional. "This is," Ethan began. "Messy," she teased. "Comfortable." She smiled. She made tea while he sat on the couch. The gentle clattering of cups, the sound of the kettle, ordinary noises, felt grounding in a way he didn't know he needed. She handed him a mug, then sat beside him, not too close, not far either. "How's your mother now?" "Stable," he said, "but weak." Lily nodded. "Then we take it one day at a time." He looked at her. "We?" "Yes," she whispered, "if you'll let me." Silence stretched soft, profound. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. A small gesture, but from Ethan it was a revelation. "Why are you so gentle with me?" he asked. "Because someone needs to be." Her voice carried no pity, just truth. And he didn't realize he was leaning in until their foreheads touched. Not a kiss. Not yet, just closeness, breath to breath, heart to heart. "Lily," he whispered. "Yes. I'm scared of how much this feels like something I don't deserve." She closed her eyes. "Everyone deserves to be seen, Ethan, even you." His throat tightened. "Stay tonight," she whispered, not as an invitation but as a request for him to rest. He shook his head. "I need to be at the hospital in the morning." She nodded, accepting, then walked him to the door. Before he stepped out, she touched his sleeve gently. "I'm here," she said, "for as long as you want me." He looked at her, really looked, and something changed. Something softened. Something rooted. Something real. "I want you here," he said quietly. She smiled, small, warm, certain. "Then you have me." And in the quiet hallway, beneath the soft hum of the building's old lights, Ethan realized something he never thought he'd feel again. He wasn't alone anymore. Not in fear. Not in hope. Not in the uncertain, fragile space between. This wasn't a blind date anymore. It was the beginning of a life he never expected to let himself have.